Good morning, Vigor Warriors. This is Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. How are you guys doing today? We're starting to get a little bit back on rhythm and back on trying to get everything organized. It's kind of a crazy time with all the work stuff starting again next week. And then I got 2 big dogs now. I got Great Pyrenees and Newfoundland my kids brought home. Got renovations of the house and kids and people and all kinds of stuff. So it's been hard the last couple of weeks to do some videos. We got a few in, but I'm gonna try to go back on a rhythm now, guys, and try to kind of get back into the idea of kind of getting you guys information as quick as possible. So again, thank you so much for subscriptions, comments, likes, donations. Please continue doing it. Great comments we've had recently. You know, Kenny D, thank you for your comment. Sims, nice comment from Sims. And I had Alvin and Abduck and Abstract and Abduck, I think it is, I'm sorry. And then also a few other people. Fireplace Christmas, thank you for your nice comments. So a lot of nice things. I try to get to as much as I can. I apologize if I don't always get to every comment you guys send me, but it's nice to see that we're getting close to 500 subscriptions, which is nice, and that's all good too. So continue, please, helping out and let me know how we're doing and making sure that this is information that's important that you're getting from this. So all right, so we had a good one yesterday with the idea between a man and a boy compared to senior when it comes to semen retention. Let's go ahead now and talk about a great question from Cole, and shout out to Cole on this one, so thank you, Cole. Talking about fasting. Now, we've talked about this a few times, but I always like to continue bringing it up and talking about it because it is important to recognize the importance of something like this in what we're doing. So when we look at this, when we look at the idea, we're kind of looking at trying to figure out, okay, if we see what fasting is. Fasting really is an idea, not so much of food, even though it deals with food. It really kind of focuses more on the idea of trying to make sacrifices. Okay? It's all really about the sacrifice. And that's the whole key to it. And I think this is where we get into the whole idea of self-discipline, and we get in the idea of trying to kind of you sacrifice these things yourself for the better good in the long run. Now, you know, for instance, when I get sick, a lot of times what I do is I go back and just drink liquids. So I kind of do a semi-fast. And it doesn't happen very often, you know, when I get a cold or something like that. And so it's better for me because when I get the fast, I don't really, my body can focus on whatever is hurting me, and I'm working towards moving on to, you know, back to the normal state that I was in. The same thing happens almost every day. If you go ahead and do a intermittent fast, which I've done and I continue doing, between 8 o'clock at night and going till at least, you know, 12 o'clock, sometimes maybe only 10 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden now you're now disciplining yourself into a certain pattern. And to me, this is a key to a lot of the setup that we do. If we go ahead and look at the overall pattern of what we're doing, you're really trying to build in your discipline. And fasting has so many benefits to you. Now, long-term fasting, I've had a case where, this was many years ago, for Lent, I did go ahead and fast for just liquids and soups and things like that for 40 days, and I lost a lot of weight. I mean, I did lose, you know, probably about 30-40 pounds. Now, I've lost about 25 pounds in this method. I have not done the total fasting I did before, but weight loss certainly is one way to do it because you're eating different things now. But you can still do that and still fast. or do different things and not fast. I mean, if you go to the keto diet, which I've talked about before, or if you go to something where you're focusing on lack of carbs or something like that, that's going to help you as well, because it's going to give you a chance to get your body into a normal state and away from all those sugars and carbs that can make you really feel kind of bloated and things like that. And so the thing I noticed, however, again with the fast many years ago, that I was really not building any kind of strength, because the fast, even though it was fasting, the one thing I didn't fast with was, the semen retention. And I think the retention part of it is the key. So I would really recommend focusing on the retention first, and once you're doing that, then start adding in the intermittent fasting or the long-term fasting. You got to start one day at a time. So Cole, I'm not exactly sure where you're at, my friend, with fasting, but I would say that probably the best thing that I would recommend is first do some short-term types of fasting, like maybe start with a few hours here and there, maybe 5, 6, 7 hours, and then continue to kind of work towards that goal. You need to have something that's going to fill you up. Now you can do some dry fasting, which means with my mind just having nothing at all, and that's okay. I've done that as well. But you can also have some fastings in which you're doing liquids. I would recommend taking slowly, just like I recommend that with retention and things like that. Take it one day at a time, get through that one day and build on the one day, and then you can continue to kind of build from there. Now, what does it do? Well, in my mind, what it does is it kind of clears your system out. I think it's really important to get all those bad things out of your system, and by sweating and exercising and also kind of eating, drinking a lot of water, which I haven't done as much of the last few days, and I've got to go back to that. That tends to help you a lot in the overall goal you have of trying to kind of clean your system out. And that's important. And once you start cleaning that system out, then you're going to go back to a regular state that you're in. So the fasting helps in that regard. I think it also gives you a chance to get a lot more discipline on the right kind of foods you want to have. You're not going to just put anything into your body. I think the one thing that fasting has always done to me is allowed me to kind of figure out what the effect the food has on my body. I know that I have to avoid a lot of caffeine all the time. I go back and forth in the caffeine, and sometimes caffeine is good, sometimes caffeine is not so good. But the idea that you really want to kind of work with is the idea that caffeine can help you at times, but a lot of times it keeps you awake all the time too. So you have to make sure when you're trying to eat caffeine or drink caffeine and do it that way. So I avoid caffeine for the most part, except for once in a while when I have something where I take a break, or I get some sort of kind of break and take a break from my body and kind of do something differently. So, but Cole, good question you're talking about, and you're focusing on trying to look at the idea of how does fasting fit into it. Well, it goes back to the whole realm of thing that we're talking about here. When we talk about semen retention, and we're talking about trying to better yourself in the long run, which is the whole key here, what you're really doing is kind of looking at trying to take control of yourself. Take control of your life and say, okay, I'm in control of this. I'm going to dictate what I put in my body and how much of it I put in my body and when. And I think when it comes to the whole idea of fasting, it really is a key to focus on, why am I doing this? Now, I think also, obviously, and I don't always mention this to everybody because, I have a lot of viewers who have different sort of religious beliefs and feelings, but I also use it as a time to reflect and meditate and pray. And so I would also say to you that if you're using this, I would combine this with other types of things that you do, in meditation and prayer and things like that, to get closer to your God. And I think this is where the key is to me. This is why I kind of started the whole semen retention type of thing to begin with, because I did see so many people and not so many people, many people tell me that it gets you closer to God, and I believe that. I could see that. And as I'm doing this now, I think I'm at 802 days or something like that. I could see where it would have a major impact on on the things you're doing and getting you closer to yourself. And I think this is the kind of key to the situation that you're kind of looking for. You're looking for something that's going to kind of reveal more about yourself. And when it reveals more about yourself, you're really revealing what your Creator had planned for you. And in this case, Lord Jesus Christ, who is my Savior and Redeemer. And so, depending on how you look at that, you can also use fasting to be able to get you to the point where you can meditate and spend time. Like for instance, now with a lot of stress stuff going on in me with family and construction stuff and all kinds of crazy stuff going on, it is a good time. I need to sit down and actually go ahead and meditate, right? And now with work starting, all these kind of things as well, it's not as easy to go ahead and kind of get away from a lot of these type of things to find time to sit. And so part of fasting is a little more difficult when you have a lot of stress around you. And that's one of the things that you have to kind of look at, Cole, as you're looking at this, is that if you're at a point in your life where you have to have a lot of stress going on, you might want to go ahead and kind of start doing intermittent fasting first, and then kind of look at the long term, because it's going to put a little bit of strain on you. Because if you can't eat, what ends up happening a lot of times, some people, and I'm not sure if you're like this or not, but sometimes what happens is that people eat when they're stressed out too. That's one of the ways they deal with it. Well, obviously during a fast you can't do that. So I would say try to figure out times that you figure, okay, I'm going to do a weekend fast here or do that. It will do a great deal for your body, but it also does a great deal for your mind as well. And that's a good combination there. So I think the long-term fasting is a solid idea, but I think in combination with doing short-term fasting. The whole key, my friends, is to try to kind of shock your body, kind of be unpredictable, and that's going to keep your body in kind of generating that mode of saying, okay, when is my next food coming? If I know I'm getting some food and I don't get it, well, then I have to work harder, and that's when you tend to kind of lose some of that weight. On the other hand, if you're just sitting there, all of a sudden you get some food coming in, it's something you're not aware of, and all of a sudden this becomes a lot. Once again, your body now is trying to react to it, and that's another way where you can actually lose weight. I've seen people actually gorge out on a day and lose weight because they have been fasting for a while. The other thing on Cole on this that I figured my 40-day fast that I remember is that you have to be careful when you get off of the fast to go back slowly, because you're going to get yourself sick if you eat too much right after not eating food for 40 days, and or however long you're. But I would say I would go into intermittent fasting first. Try it if you haven't. Now, if you've done it, kind of ignore what I'm saying. But if you've done it for a while and you want to do long-term fasting, I think it's a great opportunity. I would just say start working once again slowly. Take a day, 2 days, and then see if you can kind of build it up, almost like semen retention. Now, I would not do it. I would do it a little differently when it comes to food than semen retention. I think semen retention is something that you don't need that to live. Food we need to live, and so at some point you can't just go ahead and not have something. You're going to have to kind of put food back in there. I started doing that with soup after my other fast. I did that with other types of things. I added things in, little pieces here and there, just to kind of get my body used to the food again, and that made a big difference. But I wasn't always so smart back in the old days, and I did overeat a few times, and I can remember not feeling too good with all that kind of stuff too. So, all right, well, Cole, I hope this helps a little bit, my friend. I hope that you're successful, and I would definitely recommend any kind of fasting, guys. I I definitely recommend intermittent fasting, and I do recommend long-term fasting. Once again, just kind of fit it into the way you're trying to organize yourself with your life and your goals, and trying to maximize yourself so that you get the best out of it. And you look at trying to better yourself as you go along. Okay, guys, have a great day and battle on!